Hello everybody. In this video I will want to introduce Vue.js, what it is, how it's going to work, and pretty much the structure for the future what we'll be doing here at this class. But before actually jumping that, let's review a little bit what we did last week. So I have my terminal open. Probably you will see like it's a little bit different. It's just I like to customize a little bit. So don't worry about it, but the commands are actually the same for everybody. So I will go to my project folder and then go to my college folder, and in there I have okay, I have the folder outside, let me move it to HTC, go to my HTC folder, perfect, go to the class folder, let me actually open with Visual Studio Code and the name of the folder we want. Another way could be pretty much open Visual Studio Code first, go to File, and open, and you select the folder that you want to have it over here. So let me maximize this, and let me increase the font a little bit. Let me look for font size, 18. Perfect. So we had our HTML application. It's called the My To Do application. Everybody changed the name. And we have different elements, different tags that we're having there. We were coding some elements like this tree over here, but then we were doing the styling in the CSS file, right, and the logic on the JavaScript file. And the logic was pretty much where we added the event listener when somebody clicks in a specific event, do something about it, and start moving around here and there. So the approach that we get at HTML is pretty much like that. You have the whole body constructed, then you have the styling in a CSS file or multiple CSS files. You can actually select several ones. For example, in my font is a CSS file, and then the style for the application. So actually I'm importing two different CSS files over here. And JavaScript is going to be the same. You can have the several JavaScript files open and be rendered. That's where pretty much how an application works, like a whole. So it doesn't matter that you're using like section of code, but it's pretty much working as a whole. And this is actually a really simple application. But something that I like it to introduce over here is pretty much how to append and start modifying elements of the DOM. The DOM is the document of the HTML, and how we start handle those elements, adding and moving around the stuff. So we were moving around a list element in the completed to the pending, and from the pending to the completed. So we were pretty much manipulating the HTML website, and that's one of the approaches. And for all that, we didn't require a server. We have been doing everything through the browser. Yes, we have a live server just to pretty much render the page, but when the page is actually rendered, what it does is you send it to the client, you send it to the browser, and all the movement, all the logic, all the sizing, all the colors, everything happen on the client side. Everything happens on the browser. It doesn't happen on the server. So we can pretty much deploy or publish this application. So we can deploy the application to wherever we want it, and we'll send the information to the clients or to the user, and everything will happen in the browser, not on the server. So you can have a simple server to render it, without the server doing any part of the logic. You just pretty much delivering the files to the client side. This logic has been very popular lately in the last years, and when it came actually what is called the single page application, SPAs. Those single page applications, when they don't grow in complexity, is pretty much handling JavaScript everything that is going to be rendered in the application. So you can imagine, just for simple movement between a list file from a section to another, we need to do all this. Imagine how application is going to be grown whenever you need to have a real world real scenario. So that's actually where the JavaScript framework came in order to help us how to achieve that in a better way and a better understanding. The most famous JavaScript, as when I'm doing this video, are Angular, React, and Vue. And the one that we're going to be introducing for this class is actually being Vue. Vue.js is a progressive JavaScript framework. It's approachable because if you already know HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, we just need to start working with this. It's versatile because it's an incrementally adaptable ecosystem, and it's performant. It's pretty much it has best practices already embedded, and it has a small sizing in order to be rendered as fast as possible. This is actually a file for manipulating the DOM are actually the elements that we have on the web page. And I will show you how to develop something in Vue.js, and I will show you how to start working with that. This is going to be the main source of information. It's going to learn the API. You're going to learn different elements, or learn the guide. We're going to learn the different components of Vue.js. What is Vue.js, how to get started, how the list is going to be rendered, and how everything is going to be working. Very much. Okay, so let's start doing something in Vue. And what I actually want to do is let's recreate our to-do application in a Vue to-do application. So let me go back to my console. Let me clear the screen. Perfect. I'm going to create a week 2 folder. I'm going to go inside that folder, and let's install a dependency. Before we proceed, we just need to do yarn global add Vue CLI. So Vue CLI is the command line in order to create Vue application. It's going to be a faster way to create an application by itself. How I know that I need to run this? The official CLI. Here you go. Get started. And in order to install it, wow, this is taking time. Installation, here you go. Depending if you want to use npm or yarn, we're going to use yarn. So it's yarn global add Vue CLI in order to install it. And we just wait some minutes there. What we're going to do is yarn with our node environment, and we save it in a global state, the Vue component, so in order for us to start doing something about it. So it's already downloaded. At this time downloaded the version 3.11. Probably could be a different version for you guys. So after we are there, to test it, we just do vue -test, sorry, -b, oh, dash version. There you go. Version 3.11, and now we have a new command. So in this command, as you can see that I run it before, we put vue-h, give us the help, tell us the different things that we need to do. We can create a new Vue application, add something between others. In this case, the one that we're going to be using is the Vue create. So we are going to Vue create and the name. Let's put it Vue to do. And it start asking something. Let's just select the default, sorry. You can move it through your arrows in your keyboard. So let's actually just select the default, click enter. In my case, I'm using Yarn, so I will select use Yarn. And it's going to be creating the application. It's going to be a faster way just to deploy them and have all the tools that we are going to be needed. After this is done, it gives you two examples what to do. We go to the folder, and then we serve the application. So the serving will start, we compile the application, and will give us an address. If we click into that address, we have a local host that's pretty much our computer, rendering in the port 8080, and this is our Vue application. Actually not much to see right now, but let me actually explain the different components of how this application works. I will go back, I will close it, and then I will open in code with ID code, and because I'm already inside the folder, I can just specify a dot, like open in this directory. I click enter, and my Visual Studio Code is going to be open in my Vue to do folder. Let me maximize this. And we have different components over here. We have a node modules folder. Node module is going to be all the dependencies for the application who actually work. Don't worry about it. We are not supposed to be inside that folder. Just leave it there. It's pretty much will take all the requirements for the application to be running. We have a public folder. That's pretty much the things that are going to be rendered at the end. We have an index file. This is the index HTML file that is going to be rendered. If we can see the tags, we have there is a HTML5 document. We have the HTML tag, as we know. We have the header, the head tag with different meta. The meta is just to give us some kind of information to the browser, how to render, how to understand about the application. It actually gave us the icon for the 5 icon. It's just a relationship for this icon. That means that this is going to be rendered in the tab of the application. Pretty much is what it is. And then we have the body. We have a fallback. If the browser is really old and doesn't support JavaScript, it will tell you, well, doesn't support JavaScript, I cannot do anything at all. But then we have a block element, a div with the ID application that is empty. Here is pretty much where everything is going to be rendered. So if everything is going to be rendered here, how we get all these elements if they are not inside my applications? This is the HTML that we are going to be using. Actually, let me serve this. Yarn serve, and let me actually open this to the left and my application to the right. So as you can see, I have the Vue to do on the top. If I change my to do application as title, that's going to be rendered there. Is put it there. So this is actually the HTML that is going to be rendered. So where is everything that is supposed, where is this icon, where is this title, where is the styling, where are the links, where are everything? Well, everything is inside the source directory. And we have a new file in there, a Vue file. But before going to that, let me jump into the main JavaScript. The main JavaScript is the entry point from the application. If the JavaScript are going to be rendered, and because we are using the Vue CLI, it knows I need to go to the source file for a Vue application. In there, we're importing the element from Vue. I'm importing my app, that is the application.vue, and I'm styling a new element. So this is just give you the information for Vue, how to be handled, how to be worked. Don't worry about it, we also need to change it anymore. Well, not for now, so just leave it as it is. But this is pretty much what I'm doing is, okay, we're going to mount the rendering of my application in an element who have the ID. Remember the hashtag is the ID of app. That's pretty much my div. Taking my Vue files pretty much and render it inside the application. If we go to the Vue files, oh, probably going to be showing like this. We have three root tags element. We have a template element, then a script element, and a styling element. The Vue file pretty much takes the approach to introduce all your HTML in the template, all your JavaScript for the logic in the script element, and all the styling of your CSS in the style element. That doesn't mean that you cannot use like external files, but introduce the concept of single files component. Those single files components are the Vue files, and pretty much have in the same place everything that you need to do to render the application. But the approach is a little bit different. What I'm saying that is a little bit different, because instead of looking the application by a whole, we need to look the application as its pieces, as it were like a puzzle, and then the puzzle need to be armed together. So we know what is a div, we know how to render a view, an image. That's pretty much the Vue logo. If we go on top, the logo, it doesn't render. Let's change this for something that doesn't exist. It's going to be failing. Well, depending on the browser, if you hover over image, you will see sometimes the alt text. So probably you were looking the Vue logo in there. But this element is actually this one over here. But then introduce a new element that is a little bit weird. It's called Hello World. Hello World is a component, and that component gets imported in my JavaScript section and then declared as a component in my element. Remember in previous classes for probably C++ or probably the one for Java, the one for Python, you can actually import it and use some elements, so you need to import it and then declare it in order to use it. In this case, let's see, it's pretty much like the library. Somehow we want to do the comparison with C++ and then the declaration of that library in order to be usable. So we have a new component called Hello World, and we create a new self-closing tag with that, and we have an attribute called message. Welcome to your Vue.js application. As you can see, this text over here. If we add, for example, something like that, it's going to be rendered in our application. That means that this message is the one that is going to be sent through here. But let's go to our components folder, and we have a Vue file there. And this Vue file, as the others, have the style, the script, and the template. That's pretty much the HTML. And the template, we are going pretty much rendering a message. Then we have this paragraph and the rest of the components and the links and everything is pretty much there. So we are sending, we created a component, we wrap all this information in a component, we save it as a file, and then we just imported that file as if it were like any programming language and put it inside our main application. And this is pretty much what Vue does. It builds the different sections, then you put those pieces together and have it working the way that you need to be working. So before actually doing some kind of changes, let's change a little bit our Visual Studio code. We'll go to the complement section, extensions, and let's look for Sarah Dresner, I believe. I don't remember how to type the last name, but this one, Vue Visual Studio Code Extension Pack. Before Sarah Dresner, sorry, no Dresner, Sarah Dresner. There you go. So it's a collection of extensions for working with Vue application and Vue Studio Code. Instead of pretty much installing everything this together, we can just install this package by itself. So you just click install, we wait for some minutes, okay, that means that it was installed. Just close the section. Let's wait that the installation is going to be done. Perfect. This extension is enabled globally. Excellent. If we go back to, without closing this, if we go back to our application, we will see that now we have syntax highlight. That extensions give us the possibility to see the different section of our Vue application. There's something extra that I'm suggesting to add is this element. So for Vue, for coincided, we're going to actually go file, so here, preference, user settings, and okay, I have my settings open. Let me open my, I didn't close the section, let me open this. Oh my god, to double click it will maintain open, and then service settings, preference setting, here you go. You're going to look for the tab completion. Tab completion. By default, the editor tab completion is off. It's recommended to put it to true or to on, and the format on save for the editor also changes to true. Okay, so we put format on save. Here you go. Just turn around. Perfect. In my personal case, I like to add other two things. So I select creator, prettier with double T, and we select, let's say, single quote. Use single quote instead of double quote. Let's actually look for the single quote. Our preference is going to be that one, and here the creator. sorry, this one leave it as auto, and printer leave it as single quote. Also, closing, let's put printer closing, let me look, printer single quote, semi, this one. Remove the semicolon at the end of every line. It's just a personal preference, it doesn't matter actually. So now that we have those, something extra that I would like to do is look for a theme. So let me just look for a specific theme. Let me close all this, and in my complements I will click look, I like the material icon, so I just want to install the, give it the icon for the files, pretty much what it does here. I will select it, and I like a theme to have italic support. Let's see, next, no to purple. Probably this one is good, or cobalt too. Wonder italic doesn't have the. Let's install this one, and I change the color to vivid. Excellent. What else? Let me go to my settings again, and I want to change my font. I have a particular font that I like for this, so I just put at the beginning. All of this, you can leave it as it is. It's just I like it to have my editor a little bit different. I have this font installed. Perfect. So I close it. Excellent. Everything is as it's supposed to. So on the Vue application, without that we have those components there. And we can see also that because we already did some changes, we can track those changes, and because we have Git installed, or index.html changes, let me close this for a while. Our HTML changes, remove it, the title, because we add a new title, as you can see, and also the applications, the hello world changed because we added the extra admiration point at the end. So here we can actually see, or we can track the different elements that we're going to be changing in our code. But before doing that, what I like to do is to clean up. Let's remove this component. I don't need it. Let's put everything empty. In the application, let's just leave the application, the ID application, that's it. Let's remove the importing. Let's remove the component section, leaving the name. And let's remove the styling because I don't want this styling to be there. So we save the application view, and it's going to be empty. To test is actually working, let's do an H1. We know how to do that. Hello there. And it's been rendered. Excellent. It's been rendered because in my console, let me go back, I have the server running. That is why it's still rendering. And every time that we do a change, this is going to be changed, it's going to be compiled, and it will show it in my browser. So let me go back. So I like it like that. Oh, asset, let's remove this logo. We don't need it anymore. And actually let's remove the fav icon too. I don't like it that much. And inner, whoa, as you can see I deleted the whole folder. That could be probably bad sometimes, but because we have git control, I can actually go here and my index, I can click revert, restore my file, and my public folder with my index file is there. That's why the benefit of have git. So I could screw up big bad, but I was able to restore this file. Just let me remove the icon from there, save, and perfect. Now I'm going to go to my changes and I will stage all the changes and I will say Vue cleanup. And now we don't have changes because we specify, okay, the new changing point is the one that where we are. So now we do things and change files, let's say something like this, and I remove the script tag completely and I put extra text in there, whatever, and just go back and say, okay, my previous change is the one that I saved or committed before. So I will discard those files and everything is going to be as it is when I say, okay, this is a good point to be saved. That's the benefit of Git. Okay, so now let's actually open. I have it through here, or HTML. We can link the application. Let me copy that and go to my index. I will close this and I put it there. Just after the title. Save it. And in my application, in my styling, my application.vue is pretty much the whole application by itself. I will do this section. Let's copy this and put it here. We can see that our text just change it with the font that we declared. Perfect. So let's start adding the components that we need to have in our application. So the components are pretty much the whole HTML side. So we have a container. Let's actually take the container completely, copy, and instead of this hello there, we paste the container. We save, and now we have our HTML for the application. This is pretty cool. Let's start adding the elements for the styling. So we can do pretty much go to the styling and select everything and you put it down here. Here's our application. It have the hover, the focus, but it's not doing anything. Whenever we click it, whenever we do something, it's not doing anything at all. Let's start adding the functionality. And here where Vue is actually working really good for us. So in the previous example for this Vue application, we have the element saved as DOM element, and we just need to click on those and go back and handle the DOM directly. Now we can be a little bit more smart about those and have it as data, as an information. So we can actually declare some object that's going to be declared as those listed. For Vue, Let me actually go to the main Vue application documentation. I can look for what is the searching query? Data. Options data is the object that needs to be explained. So let's type it. In our script tag, we need to export the element. That's why we have this. So the only thing we're going to do is just do a comma, enter, and we specify the data like this. We specify a function called data. Vue requires that, and that function will return with these brackets an object, and that object have different elements where you have the key and the value. In this case, let's put something really simple, title, and the title is going to be my to-do application. All these need to be inside double quotes or single quotes. Actually doesn't matter much. We save it and we go to application. Nothing happened. Let's change this to my new to-do application. Nothing happened because we are rendering this as it is. In order to call an element in our data, we need to open and close twice the mustache bracket. I like to call it mustache, I don't know exactly, it's curly bracket, I believe the correct name, and then specify the name, the variable. So if I put the title there, my new to-do application is going to be there. If I put, I don't know, something, let's say let me check. Actually, no. There you go. Let's put a rocket. Save it. There you go. My new to-do application with emojis. Perfect. Yes, we can use emojis. So as you can see, this is a variable. It's a type text, as we can see it over here. And whatever we put it there is pretty much going to be rendered. So pretty much we're declaring like a string, and we're just showing that string in the title tag in the class. Excellent. Now let's actually, for doing other elements, let's do two different there. Let's do pendings in plural. It's going to be an object, an empty array, and we have the completed. So it's going to be an empty array too. So for the pendings, let's actually add two different elements. Those elements should be inside array, and we add some properties. Let's put an ID, for example, ID 1, and name of the element, let's say, is going to be explain HTML. After the curly bracket, but before the square bracket, we do a comma, and we open and close again. Let's do another one, ID 2, name, let's actually put create video. And let's do exactly the same for the completed. This is pretty much a JSON representation of the information where we actually have those data right here, and it's going to be rendered in our application. And then show you a little bit how that actually works. So let's have that there. Excellent. And instead of doing this, I will add a before. So I will delete those two on this one, or list going to be empty, doesn't matter, and then I will do a list element, and let me show you what to do with that and what is the beauty about Vue.js. If you go selecting and look for before, we are going to do a traditional for. Actually, we have the idea here. ID before object, so we have a before value in object, print the value. This is pretty much what we need. The difference going to be, that's going to be for pending singular in pendings, print the pending element. It will save it. It is not working because there you go. We have the ID one, now display HTML, and the create video. Sorry if I move it because I have the microphone. I just needed to see my screen. So let's actually, instead of printing the whole element, let's actually just print pending name. I want just the name object. Here you go. So instead of having several list files, we have only one that is going to be repeating the pending command in pending. This is a simple for each that we use in other language, a way to use it inside our template or inside our HTML directly. And because we are referring the object, it's going to be printed several times. If we have a third element here, let's say something like this, and something else, that element is get rendered in our website. Let me just remove it in this case. So this is actually how it works. Now, for this example, we are declaring the data like here, but in the future, this is going to be pretty much the information that will come from the database, just to show a preview how to work a little bit smarter for the future. So we have that, and what is complaining about those things having the key. You go to the list rendering, there is say that, and let's look for the key. Here you go. You can directly use before, but it also requires like a some kind of key, because now it's going to be required, and that's for giving like a unique value, because you can like some kind of index without being the index by itself. But let's actually do the key the way that they wanted, and the example is it need to be something unique. In this case, as you can see, I'm working with the IDs. I'm working those IDs actually need to be different, so I can actually use my pending ID element, and that get away, and it's still rendering in my website. Perfect. So now we can copy all this line, put it inside the completed, with the different that's going to be complete. Or let's leave it like that. As you can see, because I'm referring the same elements, those get printed twice. Now I'm going to change, instead of calling it pending, I will call it complete in singular for my completed list. And each element now is going to iterate through those, and this is going to be complete, and this is going to be complete. Perfect. Now we have the element as we're supposed to have it now. Cool. What else we can do? Let me add what extra we can do over here. I believe that's it. Now it's time to start doing some kind of preparation and doing the logic that is supposed to be rendered in our website. So first of all, we need to bind the button element to be doing something, and we need to bind the value that you're going to have or new to-do section. So before that, let's actually work with the models, and let me show you what it does. You go list for model, be model with components. If you want to use an input to be automatically typecast as a number, you can add it in the number modifier. Well, forget about that. No, it's not there. Be model directive. Here you go. Various devices in the value for the input. So we can actually have a new element, new to do, and that element is going to be empty. You don't have any information, and we can change that my new to do input is have a be model equal of new to do is the one that we just added over here. If we save it, nothing happened. But if I change this to something, let's see what happened there. It's going to be rendered. If I remove it, at this particular time, my variable is changed. We cannot see it right now, but let's do something about it. So this is pretty much how we bind this element to a variable that we're going to be using later in the project. So we say everything that is going to be inside my input is tied with a model of my variable new to do. So right now it's empty, so my new to do, that's why it doesn't show anything. Now we need to bind the action. And let me look for click. That's pretty much the beyond. So beyond, what it does is attach an event listener to the element. So beyond click will do something about it. So let's say that we have the type and we need to pretty much attach or add the event listener to my button to do something particular. Let's call add to do. What happened now? Nothing, because add to do doesn't exist. Let's create that, and that should be a function. How we declare a function? We need to go outside the data element. So just after the data element finishes, we do a comma, enter, and we create our methods. Our method is going to be another object that we have several functions inside. So the first one that's going to be called is going to be add to do. And this element what we're going to be doing is console.log. Let's say the need to do, new to do. But there is something different here. We need to add the this.element, and this came a little bit from the object-oriented programming. So my template can access to the variables directly without the this, but because now we are referring to the same object in the same JavaScript section, we need to see about my own object, get this variable or get this value. And we already know what console log does. So let me actually go to inspect my element. I open my console, and there's a failure with my adding. Oh no, it's already fine. Perfect. Now if I click here, I don't see anything because my new to do is empty. But if I put something there, it changed it because I'm binding my input to my new to do, and when I click on this button, what it's going to be doing is going to be sending to the console the variable name. You see the relationship there? So the architecture is a little bit different, but we are getting where we're supposed to be. Okay, so let's actually let me actually check my notes, give me a minute. Okay, I have it right here. So what we're going to do, we need to pretty much verify if this is something. So we can say if this new to do is equal, remember the double quote, to nothing, we need to do something about it. Alert, and let me just go back to see what we put in the previous alert. This thing, okay. Else console.log this not new to do. Let's have it like that. So if we click it right now, it asks me to add something. If I put something, it will get to my console. This is pretty much what we need. So now that we have our validation, we need to do something about this. Let's say this dot pendings, we'll call the pendings object array, and we're going to push a new element. That element is an object with an ID or something. Let's put an ID on 9 right now, just to put something there. And the name, because we have the property name, is going to be this dot new to do. Right? So if I put this over here, add, it gets added automatically. Why that happened? I didn't reference the object in my DOM, in my HTML. I just referring to my data, that's it. And because the data changed, it was reactive enough to show it and show it over here. So I can keep doing this. That's going to be rendered in my pending to-dos, because we're supposed to be doing. Now we're supposed to be clearing this. So after we push that element there, and it's actually after else, we do this dot new to do equal empty. Equal 1, add it, and it gets deleted, and it's automatically over here. That's pretty much what we need to be doing in order to add an element to there. But there's an issue, as you can see it right now in my console. If I still adding elements, all those elements have the same key, and give me the warning, hey, you're not supposed to have duplicate keys. So in this case, because we are not going to a database, let's use mat.random, and that's what we're going to be using. You just create like a random number for our IDs, and we can keep adding elements, and we want to be adding elements. Now let me actually change this to do to something a little more how I like it to have it. So let's do this validation. Let me comment this out. And because we have just one element inside the if and one element is inside the else, we can use the one string literals, and the one string literal is conditional, sorry, showing like, okay, I will check if my new to do, let's say the other way. If it's not empty, do something about it or do something else. So if it's not empty, I want to be this dot pending dot push. One element is going to be ID of math dot random, and comma my name is going to be this dot new to do. Else I will send an alert that please provide something to add. If I save it and we verify, it's doing the same that it's supposed to do, because so let me actually remove this. This promote is the same. So if this happens, execute whatever you have in the question mark, else execute whatever you have in the question marks. It's pretty much what we are doing. It's called one line conditional, and it's when you have like a do this or do that, like give it only one element to do. And I believe the code is a lot more cleaner when you have it like this. Okay, so we have the new to do there. Now we need to have another two methods. We need to have a method called, let's go complete to do, and we need to have another like complete to do, and those methods are going to be the one that we handle. When you click something that is pending, we're going to be completed, so we need to complete that to do, and we click something that is in the complete to do, we need to uncomplete, so set it to pending very much. And those elements will accept to do element. So we are going to be sending the complete no array, but the complete element, and the object pretty much is something like this, and it's going to be called to do for now. I will say that in my this completed, I will push my to do, and I will do something extra here, and then we'll say that in my this, let me actually leave it like that. And for the uncompleted, I will see that my pendings, I will push that particular to do. So if I have that to do, I will send it to this one, I will push it to my to do list. If I'm completed, I will send it to my completed, and it's going to be pushed to my pendings. I actually need to put to do here. We have two different verbs. Those need to be typed out whenever we click on this element. That means that we need to bind our element. Let's do that. So after the key, let's do a beyond. Whenever we click this, we want to do something, and that something is going to be completed to do, and because it's a function, we're going to send an element, and because it's using a before and we separated it pending as a pending, so we can set that element. So we send that particular element over here, and it's going to be our to do that's going to be moved. The same way we want to be here. The difference for the completed is that we're going to execute the incomplete to do, and we're going to set, instead of the pending, we're going to set the complete. If we save it, probably change the layout a little bit, but it's pretty much the same. We have the list, and just have it like for better readability, or before is here, or key is here, beyond, and we are closing this list here, as you can see. So it's pretty much the same, just given prettier. What it does is just give it a little more better formatting for the code. It's pretty much what is happening. So if I click, for example, in my create video, that one, it gets pushed to my completed. If for my completed, let's say if I click on my write syllabus, that gets pushed to my pendings, because we are working with the data. But we are not removing the element from the data where it came from. That's really important. That's something that we need to handle. So after we actually do this, let's say this. So we already push it to completed, but we need to say in my data, in my pending data, I need to do a filter. Let's say. So I will say, okay, my pendings, I need to change that. And how I will change it? I will declare to himself, but without doing a filter. That filter actually came from JavaScript. If we go to MDN, let's do array filter, array prototype filter. What it does is how to filter a specific word. So for example, in this case, it has several words in JavaScript, and then we do filter from iterate to each element, and it's returning only the element that fulfills this value. So only give me everything that is over 6 characters. That's why spray and limited are now in the result one. So we're doing something really similar. What we're going to be doing is, in my filter, I will have my to-do element. Well, I cannot call it to-do element. Let's call my element. It's going to be sent, so it goes through each element, and I will check that my element.id is not the same as my to-do ID. What is my to-do? Is the element that I'm sending here. So I will go to my pendings, iterate each one of those, and verify it. It has the same ID? No, it doesn't have it. Okay, I will return it. If I find the same ID, I will not send that element. So I'm filtering and reassigning to my pending. So it's pretty much removing that element completely. Let's actually save this. Well, let's actually copy this and paste it down here. Now the difference is going to be in my completed, and I will filter my completed list. So going back, let me close this. If I click my syllabus, it's not doing it because, okay, I have a typo in my element. If I click it over here, it gets pushed and then deleted from the current. So we're doing 2 transactions. We can send it, and then after we send it, delete it where you came. And we can do the same over here. And we see that we have the same functionality. If I add a new one, we have the same functionality actually in our component. That's pretty cool. As you can see, the lines change a little bit. The actual logic is a lot less code than we had before, because most of that is getting handled by Vue. So in this case, just need to add pretty much the functionality and specify the information, the data, and handle that data will give you that kind of perks that we can actually use. Let me do something extra. Let's spice it up this a little bit. So we have this pending inside this div. So let's save. Let me go to the Vue.js and let me show you something else called if. So it's a directive that is a conditional rendering. So I can say something like if I go call my pendings dot length is bigger than 0. And then the same div that is going around my completed, we can actually change it to my completed left. And let me show you what happened there. If my pending list gets empty, my pending removed completely. When I add something, it starts back there. If my completed is empty, it's not showing the title. So we are hiding an element. So with something that's simple, with a simple if, we can actually show or hide entirely element or components from our objects. And we can now simple declare as it's supposed to be. Completed is going to be empty. Pending is going to be empty. And we don't have anything there. So you can start adding something. You need to type it. 1, 2. Then we start completing those tasks. The completed tasks show it, and we finish. The pending tasks are not there anymore. Very cool. Not only that, we have other kind of benefits that we can do with just a little simple line of code. So right now we can see that we can use the pending length. So let me actually do something as a title, and we just put it, open and close the curly bracket twice, and we just put the pending length inside there, and we'll do the same with the completed. Inside my title tag, I use for the completed tag. And now we see how many tasks we have in each element. And that's going to go change in real time or reactively actually, or depending the information that we are putting or we are sending. So we have that complex math getting ready for us without doing pretty much change on our code. So at the beginning look a little bit more difficult, but after you get the idea how this actually is going to be working, we can see that it's going to be a lot more beneficial for us. And then we can do some kind of other element. We can pretty much separate. The lists are pretty much the same, so we can take pretty much the pending list and create a component called pending list and create a component called completed list and be called it through our application, and go on and go on. So we can continue with doing more stuff in our application. But I believe for now I will stop it there. And for the video lab, actually let's actually continue a little bit. Now that I have everything that I need to have, we need to save it. It doesn't matter if this files already saved. We need to, in our source control, we need to stage the changes, and we see to do application ready, and boom, that's it. In the next video I will show you how to publish this application to GitHub and then how to deploy it to a server. I hope that everybody liked it, and happy coding.